Donald Trump just wrapped up a disastrous press conference in the White House at the same time that the total debt of the United States now exceeds $40 trillion, and over 30% of that is attributed to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's disastrous press conference featured crypto leaders and tech leaders, and just as the U.S. national debt exceeded $40 trillion, it also just so happened while those crypto leaders were in the White House that Bitcoin rose in value over 7% today. Let me show you what went down during this disastrous White House press conference. Donald Trump said that he loves to hear bad economic numbers. Here, play this clip.
Pretty simple to me, but it's a killer. You know, I almost like to hear bad numbers. I'm saying, I hope we have bad numbers today. Interest rates, it doesn't make sense.
And then he said, every time I hear our country is doing well, I say too bad, and that makes me upset. Here, play this clip.
Well, interest rates should go down. I mean, every time I hear our country is doing well, I say, oh, it's too bad, because they lift up interest rates. They should drop interest rates because it means we have a strong country.
Now, before Donald Trump arrived, he made the crypto and tech leaders wait for over an hour, and some members of the press were mocking them, asking if they wanted to play Red Rover, Red Rover. Here, play this clip.
Not very good. We have a few Bitcoin.
You guys want to play Red Rover?
And of course, we continue to see Donald Trump's cognitive and physical decline. You can see Donald Trump's droopy face as he falls asleep while the SEC chair was talking. Here, play this clip.
Is consonant with our belief that the most important priority is for Congress.
More of Donald Trump falling asleep as some of these tech people or crypto people are speaking. You can see for yourself Donald Trump sleeping. Let's play it.
Tokenization will open up markets that have long been out of reach, including private companies. Today, too much economic value is being created before ordinary investors get a chance to participate.
And while Donald Trump was sleeping, he was also making these very weird faces. It was like he was having these involuntary spasms where he would just make like these weird smiles. I'll show you what it looked like so you can see for yourself. Let's play this clip.
And tangible outcome that's really now benefiting the U.S. and adoption of U.S.
And Donald Trump really struggled to talk throughout this press conference. He was trying to say that we're in the very beginning of a financial revolution, but he called it a fictional revolution. You can listen to it for yourself. Let's play this clip right here.
But we're also on the very beginning of a revolution in fictional and financial. You take a look at some of the things that are being done on a financial basis and the financial technology that's the potential to create more jobs, opportunity, and wealth for all Americans. And that's what it's doing, is creating jobs and great wealth.
And then he was excited to show off the Winklevoss brothers, who he refers to as my male models, who happen to be geniuses behind him. Again, so utterly deranged. Here, play this clip.
Or if anybody else of this very distinguished, would somebody like to say something? My male models who happen to be genius. They're brilliant and they look good, right? But anybody, would you like to say something? Go ahead, please.
Just want to thank you, Mr. President, for all of your leadership. America should lead in crypto.
And then he started to attack Switzerland and says, if I want to, I will cut off all business to Switzerland. Let's play this clip.
Yeah.
Is the administration done enough to stabilize the bond market after yesterday?
Well, I think it is, but I mean, it's very sad. Every time we do great, we announce great numbers, the interest rates go up. And they go up because they want to stop inflation. They should go down because the country's strong. You know, I see countries like Switzerland where they're the number one lowest interest rates, 0.5%, and we pay 3.5%. And yet, if we stop doing business, for instance, I have the absolute right to cut off all business with a country like Switzerland, like anything. So why are they prime if I can cut off the business and they are no longer functional? And yet they're considered to be like an elite country. And I don't want to single them out because there's 60 countries like that. They live off the United States. So why are we paying higher interest rates than them? You know, in the old days, we used to pay the lowest interest rate, no matter how we were doing, because we sort of generate for the whole world. And I want to see it where interest rate, and I have to tell you, we have a wonderful chairman. I think he's doing a great job. The problem is he has a board, and it's a political board. People put in by Obama, Biden, and me. And there are quite a few members still left, as you understand. And so they vote to raise interest rates. I don't know if they're doing it because they think they're doing a good thing or because they like the politics of it. But my point is, years ago, 25 years ago, when the country announced good numbers, interest rates went down because we had a stronger country. Now, when we announce good numbers, the better they are, the worse it is for interest rates. So
he then attacks Iran, and he says, he says that a lot of pipelines are being built, and I think the Hormuz Strait is not going to be as important anymore. So you can hear this for yourself. Let's play it.
And other places. In addition, a lot of pipelines, record numbers of pipelines are being built. So I think the Hormuz Strait's not going to be quite as important as it was in the past.
Then he lies and claims the Strait of Hormuz is open. And he says a lot of boats are coming through. No one's reporting it, he says, but it's wide open. We know this is not true. We know the strategic petroleum reserves have hit all-time lows. We know that the price of diesel is now $5.50 a gallon. We know the crack spread over $102 a barrel. We know that the price of gas nationwide over $4 a gallon. But okay, this is just Donald Trump lying, but he's got the tech bros and the crypto bros behind him. Let's play this clip.
I want to ask you about Canada, but first, the Treasury Secretary says that we could see the most impactful sanctions on Iran this week. When will they come, and what else could be sanctioned on Iran?
Well, we have things that we could sanction. We have very draconian sanctions, and we'll see what happens. Right now, the strait is open. A lot of boats are coming through. People aren't reporting that, and that may slow down a little bit at some point. But right now, a lot of boats are coming through. The naval blockade has been extremely effective.
Feeling sluggish, bloated, or just not quite like yourself? Well, modern life throws a lot at our bodies, from processed foods to stress, and that could take a toll on your gut, energy, and immune health. That's why I've been using Armor Colostrum. Colostrum is nature's original blueprint for health, packed with over 400 bioactive ingredients that help fortify gut health, strengthen immune health, and fuel performance and recovery. I've added Armor Colostrum to my daily routine because it's incredibly simple. I take 4 daily scoops, and it helps me feel lighter, supports my gut health, and gives my body the nutritional support it needs to perform at its best. It's a pure, potent bovine colostrum concentrate that's sustainably sourced with a commitment to calf-first sourcing. And we've worked out a special offer for our audience. Receive 30% off your first subscription order. Go to armora.com/Meidas or enter code Meidas to get 30% off your first subscription order. That's armra.com/Meidas, MEIDAS.
Then he goes and praises Kim Jong-un, and he says it made him very angry to find out that the U.S. and South Korea were doing military exercises together. And he says that it was very insulting to Kim Jong-un, who's been a great partner. Kim Jong-un continues to threaten the United States and our allies, or I guess former allies. He was doing ballistic missile tests the other day. His sister just mocked you. She's one of the main leaders in North Korea, and said that they're not even having conversations with you and that you're lying. And Korea's helping China and Russia and Iran. But okay, sure, Donald. And by the way, in South Korea, they said that they got no notice at all that Donald Trump was going to shut down joint military exercises and attack military cooperation between the United States and South Korea to help his friend Kim Jong-un. Let's play this clip.
Didn't like the fact that we're doing these massive military exercises really against North Korea. It was an exercise against North Korea. When I'm friendly with him, I don't see anything happening for certainly 2.5 years. It's not going to happen with me, but I don't see anything happening. And I was not happy when South Korea said, no, they're not interested in helping us with the Hormuz Strait. And yet they get 60% of their oil from the Hormuz Strait. I said, would you like to help us? He said, no, thank you. I said, that's nice, please, thank you. He made us a lot of money. I didn't like that. So I felt that we were doing a massive war exercise. I thought that was very insulting to somebody that frankly has been, during my term at least, very well behaved.
More from Donald Trump here. He says there needs to be data centers in everybody's backyard. And if Donald Trump was a mayor, he would make sure that there were data centers in his town. Let's play this clip.
If I were the mayor of a town or the governor of a state, and I had a chance to get a big plant in, an AI plant or a data center, I would absolutely want it because the jobs are enormous and the money paid, the taxes paid are just enormous. And if you don't take it, you're going to be left behind because there are plenty of places that want it.
And then Donald Trump says that it was a bad thing that Obama and Biden were not loved by Kim Jong-un. But Kim Jong-un loves him, so that's a good thing, he says. Let's play this clip.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but I do have a good relationship with Kim Jong-un. As you know, you've seen. He didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody, but he likes me. And I just got along with him very good. We had great meetings. We speak. And I think our nation and I think other nations, frankly, whether it's Japan or South Korea, they're a lot safer if I'm president than if somebody else is president. Now, I didn't like the fact.
And then he says something really revealing here, although he's too dumb to even realize what he's saying. He says, when our country is strong, interest rates should go down. When our country is weak, they should go up. That's what's happening right now. The country is weak, so interest rates are going up. That's why the Treasury yields were very, very high. They still are high, although you did a buyback scheme earlier this morning where you are artificially propping up short-term bonds in order to artificially suppress long-term bonds as part of a broader Ponzi scheme. I covered this with Justin Wolfers in an earlier video I did, but you can hear what he says. How revealing is this? Let's play this clip.
Look, when our country is strong, interest rates should go down. When our country is weak, frankly, they should go up. But this country is strong. There's never been in history the kind of money coming into a country as we have right now. Trillions and trillions of dollars are being invested in plants, factories, everything you can think of. We're the hottest country in the world. We are by far, and I said it 100 times, the king of Saudi Arabia, but many people, they said 2 years ago, 3 years ago, your country was dead. Now you have the hottest country in the world. That's what we have. We have the hottest country in the world.
And then Donald Trump's diagnosis on the Strait of Hormuz and gas prices is it will either be really good or it will be really bad. But we will see. Stay tuned to the next episode of these dystopian episode of The Apprentice, the reality show that the American people in the world are non-consensual participants in and nobody wants to be associated with in Trump's sicko deranged world. Here, play this clip.
For other places, but we'll see. We're going to see what happens. It'll either be extremely good and oil prices are going to drop like a rock, or we'll continue to do exactly what we're doing. They were talking about $350 a barrel, and it's today $84, $85.
Donald Trump is asked if Americans should be concerned about the bond markets, and he goes, no, because we're so rich. Everything's amazing. That's not true. Here, play this clip.
Even despite the fact of what's happening with interest rates.
Volatility in the bond market?
No, I don't think so, because like I said, our country is doing so well despite interest rates. We have interest rates that are they're actually artificially high. They raise them for no reason. And you can't go out to the market when you have a Fed that's raising interest. You can't say, I want to pay 3 points less than what the Fed says you're supposed to be paying. So, no, I don't think so at all. I think we have a very powerful country, and we're powering through these ridiculous interest rates. They're ridiculous.
And then he goes on and he's continues to be asked questions. Oh, the chair of the SEC says, we're making IPOs great again. All right, well, tell that to the average American, or 99% of Americans, not the 1%, who are not saying, we've made IPOs great, but who can't afford groceries or can't afford rent or certainly can't afford to buy a home. Here, play this clip.
From day one, you've made our nation's financial dominance and innovation job one. We at the SEC are delivering on your agenda. We're making IPOs great again, to continue on your theme, by cutting red tape that discourages companies from going public.
Then he goes and says that he's a genius, and that's why he signed the Genius Act. You can see this for yourself right here.
What it's done, it's been amazing. 1 year ago this summer, I signed landmark legislation known as the Genius Act. I named it after myself. I didn't want to use my name, so I just called it the Genius Act. Paving the.
And then finally, he whines about the bond market and says everything's unfair. It's all cheating. Everything's unfair against him. It's all a conspiracy against Donald. Here, play this clip.
Now when we announce good numbers, the better they are, the worse it is for interest rates. So we could have a GDP of 10 times. You know, they say, oh, it's going to be 3 times or 4.1. We could have a GDP of 10, 12, 15 times if they just leave us alone. Let the rates go down. We should pay the lowest interest rates. You know, every point of interest is $600 billion. Think of that. Every point of interest is $600 billion. 2 points means we make a fortune, but we keep driving it up. It's a very unfair system.
And I'll just finally remind you that earlier today we covered Donald Trump roaming around the White House premises, being completely deranged about the stones and the grass and feeding the grass, and the grass is eating food, or whatever the hell he is. I'll just remind you what it looked like earlier today. Play this clip.
So that instead of putting straight pieces down, we have the stone absolutely perfectly rounded. If you look at it, it's sort of amazing because you can barely see it, but it's just a slight radial cut, and it's a perfect job.
There you have it, everybody. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.